Welcome to Student Live, Student Voices, an original production of HC Broadcasting. We're here to explore what matters to young people and those who care about them. Today's episode is brought to you by Joseph Financial Partners. Welcome to Episode 3 of Student Lives, Student Voices. In this episode, our correspondents focus on the fun and the serious sides of our listeners. They explore shopping networks, media trauma, and art therapy in Brain Batch. Then we move forward with our conversation with author Jennifer Frazier on her book Bullied Brain about healing the trauma of bullying. And lastly, how does one young person organize his student life? That's our student interview segment. Now, on to Brain Batch.
When kids come across upsetting news in the media, it's important for parents to handle the situation with care. First, acknowledge their feelings. It's normal for kids to feel scared or confused, and letting them know that their emotions are valid can really help them cope. According to American Academy of Pediatrics, recognizing how they feel can be key to helping ease them a little. Start the conversation by asking what they've seen or heard. This way, you can understand their perspective and clear up any misunderstandings. Research from the Child Mind Institute shows that openly talking can ease anxiety and make kids feel safer. Use simple language that's right for their age, focusing on the main points without getting into too much detail. Encourage them to think critically about the news. Teach them how to tell the difference between reliable information and sensation stories. The National Association of School Psychologists suggests highlighting that, even though the world can seem tough, there are plenty of good things happening too. This helps balance out the negative news they might see. It's also a good idea to limit how much upsetting news they watch. The American Psychological Association recommends keeping an eye on their media consumption to avoid overwhelming them. Instead, suggest activities that build resilience, like volunteering or taking part in community projects. Finally, remind your kids that it's completely okay to ask questions and to share their feelings. This kind of open conversation builds trust and emotional awareness. By creating a supportive environment, parents can help their kids better understand and navigate the world around them. Some websites you can go to learn more about this is aecf.org, ncbi.nlm.nih.gov, and then t.texas.gov. Once again, that's aecf.org, ncbi.nlm.nih.gov, and then t.texas.gov.
Today we discuss the transformative power of art therapy. Activities like painting, coloring, and calligraphy can offer significant benefits for emotional well-being. Research shows that just 45 minutes of creative activity can lower stress levels. A study in the Journal of the American Art Therapy Association found that engaging in art can help reduce anxiety and stress. For students dealing with the pressure of school and social life, these creative outlets can be very helpful. Art plays a huge role in boosting self-esteem. According to a study from the University of Utah, students involved in art programs often feel more confident and satisfied with their lives. This increase in self-esteem can have a positive impact on their academic performance. Other simple activities such as coloring have proven therapeutic benefits. Another study published in the Journal of the American Art Therapy Association showed that coloring mandalas can significantly reduce anxiety, almost like a form of meditation. While calligraphy offers its own advantages, the repetitive motions involved can help calm the mind and allow for personal expression. This practice not only improves fine motor skills, but also promotes relaxation. Incorporating creative activities can have a significant positive impact. Engaging in practices such as painting, coloring, and calligraphy provides emotional expression and allows for relaxation. These activities offer an outlet for stress relief and can enhance self-esteem. Exploring our artistic side not only promotes mental wellness, but also builds emotional resilience. By encouraging creativity, we build skills that we need to handle challenges and build better ways to cope with life's ups and downs.
What is it about Temu that's gotten students so hooked? If you hadn't heard of it yet, Temu is a shopping app and website that has very quickly gained popularity. It offers a wide selection of products at super low prices. Whether you're looking for animatronics, clothes, or even home stuff, you will probably find it there, and for way less than what you would find in stores. In fact, a 2023 CNBC report says that Temu's budget-friendly pricing is a big reason why so many students and young adults are turning to the app. When you're on a tight budget, every dollar counts, and Temu understands. According to Statista, Gen Z and millennials spend way more time on mobile shopping apps than other age groups, which explains why Temu's layout appeals to them. It's quick, convenient, and designed to fit into their fast-paced lives. And speaking of social media, Temu knows exactly how to leverage themselves through influencer marketing. A lot of younger shoppers are influenced by what their peers and favorite content creators recommend, as noted by Business Insider. These kinds of posts build trust and get more people to check out the app. Lastly, for pros, let's talk about what students really love: deals. Temu is known for its flash sales, coupon codes, and referral programs that make you feel like you're getting a deal. In fact, a Bloomberg article mentioned that things like rewards are key drivers in online shopping today. For students trying to stretch dollars, Temu's discount approach is a big win. However, to balance out all the pros, let's get into some quick cons. One of the biggest is the overwhelming amount of fast fashion it promotes. Fast fashion is a quick and cheap production of trendy clothing products that quickly fade away within a few months and is a leading contributor to pollution. It's also commonly associated with unfair labor, so keep in mind what might be going on behind the scenes when shopping. Now, it's easy to see why Temu resonates with so many young people and students. It's budget-friendly, simple to use, and taps into the influence of social media and discounts. If they continue with this path, Temu's popularity is likely to keep rising.
Our stories were curated and announced by Bella and by Bo. We'll be back with more Student Life, Student Voices after this. In this segment, we continue our conversation with Dr. Jennifer Fraser, author of The Bullied Brain, Heal Your Scars, and Restore Your Health. The conversation focuses on how to share the information and explore some options for healing. Dr. Jennifer Fraser has a PhD in comparative literature from the University of Toronto and is a parent, a teacher, and a consultant. She stresses that even those who feel they don't have a science background can learn from science what really happens to the bodies and brains of those bullied or bullying. Even more, they can learn the science-based steps to heal. Her book captures much of this learning and distills it. You can find out more on her website at bulliedbrain.com, and her Facebook page is facebook.com/bulliedbrain. It's so interesting the things that you've found out about that people can do practically. But you said there's actually research that shows that exercise is a treatment for depression. Explain that a little bit.
Yeah, so if we look at it just from the science point of view, when your sympathetic nervous system gets activated, that's when our brain and body have decided, usually on an unconscious level at the beginning. So we don't even know it's getting activated, but it's starting to pump our system full of adrenaline and cortisol. Cortisol, of course, is this wonderful hormone designed to help save us from a predator. It's not good to get it constantly pushing up into your system because you're being cyberbullied. And every single time you go online, somebody is trying to hurt you or humiliate you or ruin relationships you have with other people. And it's just such a constant stress. When that constant stress is happening, cortisol is shooting up. So when you are doing fitness, when you do aerobic fitness of some kind, and the best kind is with buddies, the more you are socially interacting, because your brain loves it. It can't get enough of nature and it can't get enough of being with your people. So when you go and do physical fitness, your heart rate gets going and you're active and your muscles are all moving, what you do is you lower that cortisol level. It brings it right down. And it even gets your brain stronger and more resilient for the next time you're going to get a shot of cortisol. So let's pretend after you've been out running around playing soccer or doing martial arts or hiking or whatever it is you're doing, swimming and skating, whatever. After you come home and you're like, oh, there's the cyberbullying again, your brain's gonna be like, meh, who cares? We just had such an awesome workout. It's gonna keep you in that world. Physical aerobic exercise, it helps your brain lower cortisol levels. It helps your brain get stronger when faced with more cortisol down the road. It helps it take it in stride. It gets grit, it gets resilient. The third thing it does that's really fascinating is it generates what's called BDNF. And BDNF, it stands for brain-derived neurotropic factors. They describe it like a fertilizer for the brain. it helps your brain grow. It helps it grow connections, and it helps your neuroplasticity, your brain's flexibility and ability to change and grow. And it also it helps neurogenesis, which just means the birth of new brain cells. So it's one of the healthiest things for your brain. So if you think about it, every time you're out getting fit and running around and doing stuff, and you can get your heart rate going, you're breathing hard, you're also doing amazing stuff for your brain.
That is so cool. And you also talked about nature being good for the brain.
Yeah, I mean, if you run in a treadmill, good for you. That's amazing. But if you take that run and you go out in nature, it's even better for your brain, because your brain it's hungry for learning. It loves to learn, and it loves to be surprised and challenged. And so when you go running out in nature, your brain is working on all cylinders. It is measuring the air. It is looking at the ground, whether it's uneven. It's seeing if there's a stone in the path or a root that you might trip on. It's seeing who else is out there and checking them out, and seeing if they're going to connect with you or not, or dangerous or not. Your brain is like, oh, it's recognizing the sun. It's doing everything. It is so engaged in nature. It's not even funny. And I mean, that's how we developed. So living in very urban environments where our brains don't get out and about. Dr. Michael Merzenich, he says that we get trained in our society to have sleepwalking brains, and it's really bad for us. So like taking an escalator, every single time you have something mechanical do things for your brain and body, not good. Sitting in a laptop all day, and this is hilarious coming from me because that's what I do all day long as a writer.
Yeah.
But let me not be a full-on hypocrite. I do try and get away from my laptop. Sitting with your hands out clicking keys, your brain was never designed for that, nor was your body. So we're constantly encouraged, really push ourselves, surprise ourselves, get out, challenge your brain, walk backwards, do things that make your brain work hard. And that's what Brain HQ is all about. That's why it's hard. It's constantly pushing your brain to have better working memory, navigation skills, speed of processing. It's these exercises that are designed, peripheral vision. It's like hard work, but worth it.
And what are some of the other things that, after someone has realized they have something that they need to heal in their brain because of bullying, what are some of those other things that you've learned that are really help build that resilience and that growth in the brain and help take us back to, what did you call it, a normal organic brain state?
Yeah. I'm going to give you a little story for this one, because it'll help people remember. We have a tendency we're very visual creatures. So we notice the appearance of other people. We notice their bodies. We can't see their brains, and we can't even see our own brains. So we tend to forget about them. That's just how we roll as human beings. So one of the things I try to do in the book is get people to constantly be thinking about their brains. So here's a culture change that we've all had. We used to think that, back in my day, back in your day, we used to think concussions were a badge of honor. Like if you got your head hit in a football game, you were to get back out on the field and show your parents and your teammates and your coach that you were made of something else. You were dedicated, and you're going to show them, badge of honor. You got your bell rung. Well, we now know that a concussion is a traumatic brain injury. It's very, very serious. So think of this. The athlete that's got the concussion comes off the field. He can't remember what day it is. He doesn't know his own name. He can't walk straight, and he's got a lot of pain, and he is just absolutely scrambled. That is what the brain is like when it's being bullied. It's like a traumatic brain injury. Okay, so that's the bad part of my story. I'm always the queen of doom and gloom. Now, here's the good part of the story. So Dr. Michael Merzenich is working in the lab with all these international brain scientists. They're designing the Brain HQ program. Why are they doing it? Because they're trying to help people that have dementia when they get old. They're trying to help people that get Alzheimer's. And the thought process is, we have fit bodies as we get old, and we live now into our 70s, 80s, 90s, but we're not keeping our brains exercised. We've got to do exercises for the brain. So they get a telephone call. Who is on the telephone call but Alex Guerrero, who is quarterback Tom Brady's trainer? Wow. And he's like, hey, nerds. Hi, scientists. Guess what? Just wondering, Tom's writing a book about what he does every day. And you guys do know that he does brain training every day. Well, the neuroscientists couldn't believe it. It never occurred to them. So they all got on a plane. They went off to see Tom Brady and talk to him. Now, Tom got interested in brain training because he had had some concussions, and he's this, the greatest quarterback that ever lived. And the most interesting thing about him, looking back to the neuroscientists and what they were trying to figure out about the brain, at 40 something, he was outperforming the 20 somethings in brain power. How is that possible? Well, he does brain training every single day. He does Michael Merzenich brain training. Now, there's lots of elite athletes that do, but they don't tell anyone because it's their competitive advantage. So Tom Brady, it's funny when you look at him, he's so emblematic of our society and the change that we need to make. When he was being drafted, everybody looked at his body and they're like, that guy's he's not a quarterback. Oh my goodness, I don't want him. He got picked 199 in the draft. Now, what's hilarious is nobody looked at his brain. If they looked at his brain, they would have seen the most unbelievable working memory. The guy can remember plays, hundreds of plays. They would have seen empathy. He knows what every other player is thinking, feeling, and intending on the field, his team and the opposition. He has processing speed. He can make a split-second decision under extreme pressure. That's Tom Brady. We could all be Tom Brady. We could all get a concussion or be bullied and have a traumatic brain injury and then make our brains even stronger. We could be outperforming the 20-somethings, which we'd all love to do in our 40s. So he's really emblematic of where we can go with this. And I just think it's so exciting.
That is very exciting. What a great story that is. That's such a great story. As we move through sort of to the end of the book at this point, what would your summary of that be? Come back to this section of Student Live, Student Voices next week to learn what that summary is, as well as what the future holds for Dr. Fraser and for the Bullied brain. Stay tuned for more Student Live, Student Voices after these messages.
Organization, something everyone strives for but can't seem to get a hold of, or at least I can't. Everyone talks highly of cleanliness, but did you know there are actually proven health benefits of being organized? According to PIHhealth.org, being tidy can lead to better sleep, better relationships, and just being happier in general. For students, it's especially hard to keep everything neat. With how much work we bring home on top of extracurriculars and normal classwork, it can be a struggle. Today, I'm interviewing my friend Sekou about his organization habits and how he's able to manage a busy schedule. Hello, I'm here with my friend Sekou. Sekou, say hello.
Hello.
Sekou is my very good close friend. He moved recently, and we're talking about organization. Sekou's the most organized person that I can think of off the top of my head, and also the most organized person that 3 of our mutual friends can think of off the top of their heads. Sekou, are you honored to be so organized?
I am honored. It's definitely a journey that I have struggled through, and I have gotten tips from my parents and other people as well, but it's definitely good to be organized. It feels good.
I assume. What do you consider yourself an organized person?
I'd consider myself to be more organized than most.
Yeah.
People start off in different levels of organization. I'd like to say that I'm pretty organized.
Why?
I make it a point to be organized because I do not like being unprepared, because I know what it feels like to be unprepared, and it's not good. I've noticed sometimes I'm more on top of my stuff than other people, and I'd have to help other people with their work or what time things are and things like that, which I'm very open to,
Dude, I remember whenever we first met in ROTC and art, and I would just copy you in ROTC because I did not know what I was doing. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, copying is definitely a good way to learn things from someone, especially if they know what they're doing.
True. Did you know what you were doing, Sekou?
I'd like to say I did. Honestly, I just listen. And if you listen to what you're being told, I'd say you kind of know what you're doing.
You sound like
Next question.
What do you do to stay organized or to keep your organization up?
Well, like I said earlier, I like to be prepared, and proper preparation is key to not messing up a lot of things. Some things I do in class, I use sticky notes to write down anything important or upcoming homework assignments. I also ask people and make sure the dates are correct. Trust but verify is a good phrase for that. I go over things as frequently as I need to remember them. For example, when I get home from school, I go through all my folders and my journals in my backpack to make sure I didn't misplace any papers. Sometimes you rush out of class because you're late on an assignment or whatever, but I just like to refresh and jog my memory just in case.
Do you have some kind of planner or like schedule that you go by?
Well, that's something I should probably set in stone. As you know, I used to have a schedule, the chalkboard, very simple, but it did help for PT days and really anything that was due. But, I recently moved. I don't really have that anymore. So digital schedules are very good. Here and there, I'll get an app notification from a reminder, that uniform day is this or there. Yes, I do have a schedule. It's Google Calendar, but I do need to update it and make it more efficient.
What are some things that help you with keeping yourself organized?
Checking your backpack or really going over things that you need to know over and over till you kind of remember it. And still checking it is a good way to remember things, just to stay on top of it. I would also suggest using like apps on your phones for stuff like that because you use it a lot, usually, especially now. And it's good to have like a little widget on your home screen, maybe even your notes app that has stuff you need to do just so whenever you open it, hey, I see it, I got to do it. So it's just in your mind. It's really just repetition. A lot of it is repetition and keeping things neat and orderly.
What are some examples of apps that you usually use? Like, I know that there was one that was really popular whenever we were freshmen, I think. Saturn. I don't know if you had that.
Saturn. I've actually never used Saturn, but I've heard it was good for like school schedules and stuff like that. For group settings, we've had, at least for ROTC, and I think Band does it too, is the Remind app. So you have like a group leader and they can send notifications that sends to everyone, and people who don't have the app can get it through their messages as well.
Yeah, Miss Elliott does that. I'm so glad that she has that Remind app. She told us about the Peach Jamboree before school was in so that, we could do stuff for the Western Art Show. Mm-hmm. I am so glad. I'm gonna be honest, the bull riders all fell off.
Oh my goodness.
It was so bad. Like, everyone would get on a bull and then they would immediately fly off and no one qualified. What are some things that you still struggle with to stay orderly?
I'd say, really, because of my situation right now and how school is, I do a lot of after-school activities and before-school activities. Coming home and trying to organize is very tiring and time-consuming, especially for me, someone who, and I'll be honest, I do procrastinate. I can't help it sometimes. I'd say physically organizing things is something I definitely need to work on, where it doesn't get really messy. Like, there's a boundary. It's not messy. I don't have plates or anything, but, some things could just be a little neater. It's really the tiredness that I struggle with, but, that can be solved in a number of ways. More sleep.
Do you have any tips for people that want to be more organized? I've been meaning to ask you this, actually.
Yes, I do, actually. Find out your weakest point in organization and start working towards that. So, like I've said, like physical possessions and organizing those are my weakest points. And that's because of my tiredness after school. I just don't feel like doing it. So after that, you just work on it. Okay, what makes me tired? What doesn't make me tired? Maybe I'm waking up too late or too early. Do I need more sleep? Just stuff like that. It's just problem solving. And also apps on your phone, sticky notes, writing stuff down. Anything that jogs your memory.
You sound so professional.
What are ways you're organized, Bo?
Oh, some ways that I stay organized. I'm trying to keep a planner this year because, junior year, I've heard the homework year. I'm not too good at doing my homework. I usually just do it in class. But, I think having that ordered is good. I'm just not an organized person in general. I usually stuff all my papers in my laptop, which isn't good, especially now that I'm using my personal laptop. So here are some ways not to organize yourself.
And that's important too,
Just know what to not do.
Exactly.
I'm a bad example. You're a good example.
Hey, there has to be examples everywhere. You know the light bulb situation.
Yeah.
You need 1,000 times to make the light bulb. I've also heard that keeping your thoughts in journals is a good way to organize your thoughts because it lets you write things out on journals, which you might not say to other people, but it still lets you think about the things that are on your mind and kind of keep track of them. And I've heard that it helps memory too.
So like a diary?
Like a diary, but some people don't like using the word diary because of the connotation it holds. But if it helps, it's like a thought journal to keep your thoughts in order, keep them in check. Because, organization isn't just keeping your physical possessions in order. It's about being mentally organized as well and making sure your mind is clear and straight.
Cleanliness is godliness, right?
Exactly.
That's the thing, right? Well, it was great having you on, Seikyu. Thank you so much for being here.
Of course. I'm honored to be on the radio of where I used to stay. I do miss it time to time, and it's good to have a little part of me forever in the air floating around.
You act as if you didn't move like a month ago. I remember my home once upon a time.
Hey, everyone remembers their hometowner, where they used to stay. Yeah, where I jumped off the porch in high school.
Thank you for listening to this edition of Student Live, Student Voices. Come back next week.
If you or someone you know is struggling, please contact the National Crisis Helpline at 988 or contact your local mental health and developmental disabilities agency. In Gillespie County, you can call toll-free to 888-290-4777. For the Texas Agri-Stress Line for those working in the agricultural sector, call or text 833-897-2474. Thanks for joining us for Student Live, Student Voices, an original production of HC Broadcasting. Every Sunday, we explore what matters to young people and those who care about them. Today's episode was brought to you by Joseph Financial Partners. You can also catch past episodes on our YouTube channel, HC Broadcasting at the Voice of the Hill Country. Don't forget to subscribe and like.